I want to ask you a question about blame Labor, because that seems to be something that we hear a lot of. And I'm going to go to a Twitter conversation I was happening, because I want you to answer this for me or for us. So a few days ago, we put up a little clip on Twitter and on YouTube. Nationals budget promising to be the most underwhelming. But then again, you knew that, didn't you? And you voted for them. Anyway, I was being a bit pissy about them and saying it was going to be underwhelming. Someone, I don't know who this person is, Elliot, comes in and says this: the Jacinda Ardern NZ Labour Party was the worst in New Zealand history. The level of economic ruin is from their ideology. To which I answered, what is your metric for that? Other than spouting talking points and political narratives fed to you by someone else, precise metrics for your claim that they were the worst in New Zealand history. Then someone came into a pissing match. What are your precise metrics that they improved anything? So, of course, what I did was talked about being one of 7 countries in the world where age expectancy went up. So there you go, I answered it. But then I also said, but now the onus is on this earlier guy. He made the claim that they were the worst in history. And as yet, as you can see, I'm still waiting. But I wanted to know a couple of things, right? I wanted to know how much of what we see today does, if any, sit with Labour's, even if it's Labour's debt because of COVID and they had to do it, how much sits with them today, and how much, if any, do we have to just lay straight at the feet of this Tory government because their agenda rides over all, and anything blamed Labour is just a squirrel look away, according to them?
One of the things about being in government is that it's a contact sport, right? You want to be in government. You put your name forward, you get elected, you form a government, so that when they hand you the reins of power, when they say to you, you're in charge now, you have to own that. Holus bolus. This government's been in charge for 6 months, and all of the decisions inside this budget belong to this government. It could make different decisions, it could do different things, and as a consequence, everything in here, everything inside this lovely document is actually up to them, not up to anybody else. So when they say, oh, well, we're just dealing with the disaster, the consequences of the previous government, sure, that'll work for a bit. But the long run consequences of this, the fact that you're giving huge amounts of money away in tax, you're borrowing more to pay for it, that you're cutting essential services, that child poverty is getting worse, that unemployment is rising, those are on you because you're in control. You can do things differently. Now, when there are plenty of things that you could say about the previous government, that why did it take so long to deliver fair pay agreements? Why did it take so long to actually genuinely tackle some of the social development challenges in the country? Why did it take so long to get a handle on housing? And why did house prices go up as quickly? There are plenty of things you can complain about. The reality is they're in charge. They wanted it. Nobody handed them the reins of power by accident. So own it. You want to make your own decisions, do it now. And they can blame the previous side, but you're in charge. You get to say either why you can't do things, or why you are doing things. But don't just say it's the previous lot's fault.
Oh, they've been singing that from that song sheet for 6 months, haven't they? What we inherited, what we inherited, what we inherited.
So I come from a country where I was born in January 1979.
Hang on, I thought you were. Is that not a West Coast accent? I thought you were from somewhere in the West Coast of the South Island, weren't you? No,
born in the UK in 1979, and I had 3 glorious months pre Margaret Thatcher, and then she came to power. And when I turned 18, was the first time that Conservative government was unelected from office and the Labour Party came in. So my entire childhood was under a Conservative government. Even when I was 18, that government, that Conservative government, was blaming the previous government from 1979 for what it had done and for why it was still doing what it was doing today.
Good grief.
It's just a political trick. Yeah. It's just something that, they were. You did right, Pat. This is a country where life expectancy went up. Fewer people died than normal during COVID.
Yeah.
Unemployment fell to record lows. Unemployment was the lowest it's been since the 1st of September 1986. I know that exact date because that's when we started collecting statistics on that.
and remember, that was mentioned as a problem, wasn't it? We had to shed jobs to get inflation under control.
Yep. We had, we were a country that had 112,000 people coming into the country. That's a good problem to have, not a bad problem to have. I'd far rather live in a country where everyone was trying to get in than one where everyone was trying to get out.
Yeah.
But now all of these things are now, because the metrics are heading in the wrong direction, they're all now the fault of the previous government. Well, hang on. You know, you've been in charge for 6 months. What have you done about it, except for actually make those metrics worse?
Yeah. I mean,
And
I
that's what
think
we should really be asking.
I've seen a couple of texts, I think or tweets from Kieran, who seems to be the person in the media the whole time talking about, there was one the other day talking about how many houses Labor built, and then it's got a graph that goes down by 7 months. How many decisions have even been made by this incumbent government to start building a house in that 7 months? And the answer is 0.